Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm privileged to welcome a very senior and accomplished professional from Minneapolis, USA, Dr. Margie Oleson. Margie, welcome to the show.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
Thank you. Dr. Oleson is a top Team Accelerator. She's an executive coach and a leadership team development expert with a doctorate in organization development. So Margie, before we talk about Top Team Accelerator, tell me a little bit about your own amazing journey.
Sure. So I like to say that people's first leaders are the ones in the household when you're born and growing up. And that's your first team. So who's ever there, that's your team, and those are your leaders. And in my case, when I went to apply for the military and a security clearance, I had to save all of the addresses that I had lived in by the time I had graduated high school, and there were 22 of them.
Wow.
And so I had come up in this chaotic environment where along the way, I realized that I could assess things. I'm someone who could walk into a room and get a read on the room. And I was getting a read on the situation at home. And it seemed like the leadership decisions seemed to not necessarily be the ones that would result in different outcomes. They seemed to be the same decisions over and over. And that was just something that I just took to my sort of unconscious. And then went into jobs and went into the military, went to college, and then started working in corporate America and was there for decades. And I saw the same issues. And it was interesting to be in a variety of companies, a variety of industries, for-profit, nonprofit, higher ed, community building, and the issues were similar. And I am not someone who's going to take apart a toaster or look under the hood of a car, but I am motivated by what is happening in organizations. So I went back to school to earn a doctorate in organization development because I wanted to understand what's happening in organizations. And I was shocked to find out at that time that everything we needed to know about leadership and teams and high performance, we already knew. It had already been written about. It had been studied and vetted and reiterated. And so my dissertation topic was subtitled, "What the heck? What is going on in organizations that they have the information and they're not making it happen?" And that was a little bit more than 10 years ago. And so I've been on a journey to understand how execution is the piece that's missing and what can we do about it. And that's when I developed Top Team Accelerator.
Wow. And give us a brief overview of Top Team Accelerator and what is the philosophy behind your creating this?
Yeah. So the philosophy is that the information is there and that leaders can take in the information and learn it, commit it to memory and apply it. And they can take the situation that they're in, regardless of whether they're remote or in person, which industries they're in. And when they put these building blocks in place, the principles of high performance and cohesion and communications and behaviors that are the kind that lead to people being successful together, when they put those in place, they will have success. So then, but they may not know that, and they don't talk about it. It's not okay for them to admit to their colleague or their peer that they are having to feel like a preschool teacher or an elementary school teacher. People are coming to them and they're gossiping and they're complaining and they're asking for them to solve their problems. And these are their leadership team, these high-powered people that they hired who are experts in their field, who have great resumes, and they're not leading their own teams in the direction of the leader's goals. So the philosophy of Top Team Accelerator is to take what we know about high performance and leadership and teams and add to it what we know about the brain and habits. How do we learn? And culture. How do we take what is happening today, all of the little mini habits and systems that are in place, and how do we redirect them and apply the principles of effective organizational management, leadership, and teams in ways that they can actually learn and grow. And so Top Team Accelerator is something the leader leads, And we are there to lay it out and to teach and to coach and to practice. And then they do the building blocks. So an example, and then I'll pause, an example that we're not going to work on trust at the beginning, but teamwork is the first pillar. And by the time they've worked through the assessments and the activities and started having real conversations about behaviors and the dynamics of the team, they start to develop trust naturally. And that's what we want to do. We don't go into a classroom to focus on trust. We don't even go into a classroom to focus on a case study. We do the work they're doing, and we use that work to put in those building blocks. So pillar 1 is teamwork. Pillar 2 is commitment, which is clarity and alignment together. Pillar 3 is accountability, and pillar 4 is performance.
Amazing. You know, as you were talking, I was reminded of when Conrad Hilton was asked what was the success of a hotel. He said location, location, location. And I think what I'm hearing Dr. Oleson say is top Team Accelerator is execute, 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 so.
It is, which is based on behavior, behavior, behavior. So if you have these high-powered executives gossiping about the leadership team to their own team, and you're not doing anything about that, that's a challenge. If your meetings are terrible, and most organizations right now, their meetings are terrible. So Forbes says it's an $85 billion problem just in the US, low-performing meetings. If your meetings are not high-performing, you can fix that. And you can do that, but you're not. And so we look at behavior, we look at habits, we look at how you learn something new and put it into practice. And all of that is a part of the philosophy. And all of that is why then people are, for the first time, successful. So they've hired consultants, they've done a lot of training, they've moved around in their own careers, these leaders, and they come to a new organization and they hire a team, or inherit a team or hire a team, and it's the same issues. They still have the same issues, even though it's a different location. They have tried many things, and what we put into place is executing successfully and learning as you go.
Well said. Great response. Thank you. And Margie, how is the program tailored to suit different organizations or team structures?
So it is a one-year program, but you can't sign on for the one-year program. You can't just buy it and I hand it to you, or I just come hang out with you for a while. The first thing we do is spend a few months together in executive coaching. We fix your meetings right away. So no matter what happens after that, you've done that. And we implement Working Genius assessment, which I'd love to talk about. And so we do a couple of other assessments. And during that time, you are hitting the ground running, making immediate changes while we're trying to figure out, is this something that's a fit for you? Because the leader can't have me hand it to them. This is another issue, which is not why they haven't been successful in the past, is they think they can just have someone come in, change a few things, and then leave. No, the leader is the one who grows their leadership. They grow their self-awareness. The leadership team members grow their self-awareness and what I call team awareness. And so the first few months, we find out if there's a fit. Starting with your structure. Do you have 20 people on your leadership team? I'm going to say that's not working for you. Now, it might seem like it is, but I promise you, you have 3 or 4 people that are actually the leadership team, and everyone else is invited to meetings so that they feel okay about that, or so that they don't have FOMO, the fear of missing out, or so that you can manage the politics. You have to invite everybody, except that that's actually not good for your business. So we talk about that. So, and I meet with the leadership team and we find out, are the people here going to be able to invest the time and energy, and do they want to, and how will they execute? And then we can stay on for the remaining 9 months. So it can be all different industries and size. It's that they have to be able to make the investment of stepping away from the day-to-day. And it's a bit of a chicken and egg, because the day-to-day is what's keeping them from stepping away. So they are fighting fires all of the time. They're not managing together cohesively. So they're not a well-oiled machine. You've got leadership teams that are off-rolling in different directions, operating in silos, and then coming back to team meetings and pretending that things are okay. So we're going to get to a level of honesty and a level of transparency. And for example, accountability is the third pillar. We don't focus on accountability to say we're going to be more accountable. We put the building blocks in place that they start to naturally hold themselves accountable and hold each other accountable. And so if the organization is able to say, yep, we're fighting fires, we have a lot of challenges, but we're going to invest once and for all time and energy to step away from that, to learn these principles, to practice, to be successful with the ones that take it immediately, and to go deeper and root cause and stubborn challenges for the things that need more time and energy. And you can see how that can help virtually any industry, any type of leadership team. And the goal for them is we give this program and then we customize it based on where they're at and who they are, so it can fit a wide variety.
Great response. Thank you. And Margie, given the change of working in the last 3 years with remote working or hybrid working, how do you tackle these challenges? Given the fact that you may not have the whole team face to face whenever you want to reach out to all of them together.
Correct. It's a beautiful thing that putting in place Team Accelerator, these building blocks are actually the answer to some of these world challenges that we've had, and we think we can. So everyone might feel like the market is beyond my ability to cope. Global supply chain, beyond my ability to cope. Workforce issues, remote, in-person, that's too big. That's why I'm having issues, they might think. That's why our company is challenged right now, they might think. And the truth is, when you put these building blocks in place and you start to form as a team and you have fewer fires and your meetings are excellent, you have now freed up time and energy to start addressing some of those. And lo and behold, the creativity, the collective innovation, the collective intuition and energy of the leadership team has solutions that you didn't even know each other had. Right. And you also don't have time to fail quickly or experiment or explore. Now you've created a little bit of time to experiment, explore, and leaders, when they wanted to be a leader, they wanted to be promoted into leadership, they had a view that it was going to feel great. They're going to lead people and march them towards success, and they're going to be thought of well, and it's going to feel, yes, they're going to have hard days and they're going to have hard times together, but they're going to come through it and they're going to come out the other side. And instead, it feels like one long firefighting in meetings all day that aren't productive, and there's a high rate of burnout. We hear a lot about burnout. Putting these building blocks in place is the antidote to burnout. And being able to take time away as a leadership team gives you a chance to look at your culture and look at your markets and look at your big stubborn challenges and actually try some things to solve them.
Well said. And, my next question is on culture. And, you live in a country which is probably one of the most culturally diverse countries in the world.
Yes.
How does your program impact company culture? And of course, each one of the employees has their own cultural biases and norms. And how do you tackle all these?
So first of all, we are not bragging about having cultures that are so many, because companies still are struggling day to day with how to make the shift. And now you have 5 generations in the workplace. And instead of thinking about how we can be a successful organization based on tried and true principles, they're thinking they have to go after the 5 generations piece. The truth is, what is happening, and I've seen this when I was in corporate America, project after project, program after program, leaders on those leadership teams don't really know what's happening in the rest of the organization. They don't know what the day-to-day is like. They don't know the conversations that are being had by mid-level managers and below. They don't know how the hiring is going. They can look on paper and they think they've put processes in place to be more diverse and to be more equitable and to address bias. And the truth is, they don't know day-to-day what's happening. And when you put in place this kind of work, you now have time, and you are required, just for your own accountability and the accountability of the team, to find out what's happening, because what's happening is what's leading to your culture, and it's what's leading to your success or your challenges. And so leaders are not talking to their leaders and their leaders' leaders to really understand. I've seen things behind doors that are really scary. People at the leadership team level would say, not at my organization. No, we have A, B, and C in place. But then you go farther out into the organization and you find out that's actually not true. When you have the leadership team talking openly with each other, they're honest, and also not day one. it builds on itself. So let's say you move through and all of a sudden within 2 or 3 months, you are having frank conversations in each of your meetings. You like your meetings, you look forward to meetings, and you had some successes with putting systems and processes in place that are going much better. So now you can look at 5 generations in the workplace. You can look at what is conscious bias and how do we want to address it. You start to function as a cohesive team where you're one voice and you're one energy, even though you are the combined creativity. And what happens in that system is people who aren't able to do that naturally move up and out. So those people that are standing in the way of those big and important changes, they're the ones that then, by virtue of the crowd, by virtue of the leadership, by virtue of the processes in place, are no longer successful. Politics is no longer successful. Chaos and confusion is no longer a fog you can hide behind and keep doing things the old way. And so now all of a sudden it's harder, it's longer, and it's really much more enjoyable. And some people maybe move on to something else.
Thank you. And as you know, you're working with so many different clients, are there any new trends or shifts in team dynamics or leadership that you are looking at to incorporate the program, also taking into account the impact of technology, artificial intelligence, and so many new things that are coming into human resources and leadership?
Yes. Well, good news, bad news. So remote work can be highly productive. And the truth is, there does have something special happens when you're in person. And so leaders are really wringing their hands on what to do, what to do, what to do. But the truth is, what is your business and how's it going now in terms of remote and in person? We know that if you're in a room with 11 other people and you don't say a word and you take the same math quiz and you're not looking at each other's papers, you're not communicating at all, many scores in the room go up just because of the sort of human energetic exchange that happens. Physics, something's going on there. And there are times where the brain trust is more effective when it's in person. Now, if you can't do that at all, you will go after it more intentionally by doing it remote. But the thing that employees are reluctant to want to think about is they feel like they're in over their heads and it's better to be working virtually. It's much better for their lives to be working virtually. The truth is, even though they look at the dry cleaning bill or the sitting on the freeway or the time away from people they're caring for, they think that Margie doesn't know. Margie shouldn't speak for me. The truth is, for some companies and for some individuals, it's actually better for their lives to head into the workspace. And so leaders who have moved through the teamwork pillar and are starting to have clarity and alignment with each other and can get the business to be sort of on a hum for a while, can really find out from each other and from their organization and the people they get the knowledge and expertise from, what is the right formula? And so we always talk about the right formula. Some work is transactional. Some work is done by a computer, AI, a robot. Some work, very touchless. Some work is combination, a hybrid. And some work, the way to do planning and deep problem solving, root cause work can be done remotely when you go after it, is done really well when you can be in person. So I recommend, so for my program, we're in person sometimes and we're remote sometimes. And I will tell you, when I did my dissertation, this was before the world changed, and when remote teams were starting to become more common. So you had global teams, but you also started to have flexible work situations where we had the technology and the ability to do some remote work. And people assumed that remote teams had lower productivity. The truth is, their productivity wasn't any lower. And what I found out during my research is it's because they went after it. They were intentionally being more productive, intentionally operating more as a team. So you can be remote or in person and do that. Be more intentional about the productivity, about the teamwork. And when you're all virtual, you need to put activities in place that compensate for the fact that you're not in person. You absolutely can do that. You need great facilitators. You need leaders who are very comfortable and knowledgeable about how to do that.
Thank you. The next couple of questions, Margie, are coming back to you as a coach. And my first question on that is that, given your amazing background in corporate America, given all the work that you've been doing as a building top Team Accelerator, how has your own background supported your own coaching philosophy, your style, and your values?
I would say the main philosophy undergirding everything is that people are doing their best. They're not getting up in the morning saying, I just want to get in the way of my leader's success. They're not getting up in the morning saying, I really want to be mediocre today, or I really want to hide from my team members. I don't want to be available to them or make it happen. And so when we meet people where they are, but then we have expectations for how we can help them grow. And so this is the way any manager can approach an individual that is their direct report. And we look at this for the leadership team and the whole organization. And that is, people need to understand what is happening. What are we going after? Who are we? Who are we not? What goals are we accomplishing? What goals are we not working on right now? What are right now today's priorities? That's number one. Right. Number two, how does our team fit into that? And how does my role fit into that? Number three, do I have what I need in order to be successful? And number four, how do you think I'm doing? So we put in place these quarterly, semi-annual, annual performance management systems that cost a lot of money and are all rearview mirror, when the truth is your manager should be able to tell you every day, without it being a formal performance review, what's working and what's not, and what do you need, and how is it going? It should be okay for someone to ask for help. It should be okay for someone to say, I failed, or I'm struggling. Yeah. And so in my mind, I just assume the leader has those thoughts. And we mine for them. We build trust right away by me modeling my philosophies. And so we're meeting people where they are. We're giving them the information and the tools that we need. And we're treating them like adults. We're holding them accountable. People love to be held accountable, which sounds counterintuitive, but there is a standing taller, there is a being more present, there's a leaning in when we have a sense, even if it's on an unconscious level, we have a sense that we are clear about where we fit, we have what we need, and we're working well. And when we're not working well, we know who we can go to and troubleshoot it, work through it. When that happens, I, as an individual, am much more engaged. So in my coaching, I assume that that's where they're at, and I bring them along. We know it wins, and I'll say one more thing. We do the dance floor balcony approach. So I said we don't do case studies. We don't go into classrooms and talk about fake things. We are always using their work. What's coming up? What are you meeting on today? What are your metrics? How are you looking at your numbers for next week? We use all of that. And for about 95% of the program, we're doing the work, we're engaging, we're building processes and putting systems in place. And then we pause, either we schedule something to pause, or we pause in the moment. And we go up to the balcony and we look down at ourselves and we say, hey, how's the dance going? What dancing is working? How's the music going? Who's working well? What are we doing? The thing we said 2 weeks ago? Do we still have that one challenge? Because it seems like we do. We probably should set some separate time for that. And so we get to watch ourselves. And when we're watching ourselves and we're observing, we're neutral. We don't have to take it personally. We don't have to feel like we're being judged because we're doing a thing. Dynamics, behavior, communication, those are things the way your lawyer person learned law, your scientist learned the recipe for the formula for the product that you have, your MBAs understand the aspects of systems and finance. They all have knowledge and expertise, and it's not personal. Right. It's not a judgment for them when they didn't know accounting and now they do. They're not a better person because they learned accounting. You're not a worse or a better person when your behaviors are changing. You are now becoming an expert, and it's okay to stand back and look at it and go, whoa, I said that thing. That's not what I meant. Or wow, where did that come from? And it begins to be growth, personal growth that you're implementing and you benefit throughout your life, but you start to implement. And then if we hear that culture eats strategy for breakfast, I would say our habits eat our strategy. Absolutely. Our habits create our culture. And so we put into place habits, do all the things that we can do to develop habits, because your brain is It's the thing. It's not me personally. It's my brain. And so I, as a coach, work with you and the team's brains to maximize their trying to keep you survival, to keep you alive, while they can also focus on the things that are the most important. And that is how we approach Top Team Accelerator.
Well said. Time for one more question, Margie, and this is for the many people who will listen to our conversation. A lot of them will be our young people. What would you say are 3 lessons you would like our viewers and listeners to take away from your own learnings, from your own journey, and from what we've spoken about today?
So one of my biggest mistakes was staying too long. So along my corporate America journey, I was fired many times. I was laid off many times. I was a single parent. These are very difficult situations. And instead of making different choices or regrouping and thinking, what might this tell me? Instead, I thought, I can do better. I'm going to try harder. I'm going to give fewer opinions. I'm going to ask fewer questions. I'm going to be a better team player. And then I went to another one and another one and another one. And what I realized now that I'm an entrepreneur and working in the way that I am most helpful is I stayed too long. That's number one. Number two, focus on self-awareness and personal development. Emotional intelligence is everything. You can go to a workshop someone offers for becoming a leader, but the truth is, the way leaders are most successful when they have awareness of themselves. And then it's literally, you can ask for, even if it's not offered to you, what are we going after? What is our team's role in that? What is my role in the team? How will I know, and you know, that I'm successful? Do I have what I need for that? And how do you think I'm doing? And those questions transcend any generations. They transcend whether or not you're a native with technology or it's brand new. Those transcend, that's, everybody needs that because of how we're hardwired. And so you can ask those questions. And if you're in an organization that doesn't like those questions, go back to recommendation number 1. Don't stay too long.
Amazing. And on that note, Margie, and your amazing lessons, don't stay too long, keep thinking about I can do better. You also said focus on self-awareness and emotional development. Thank you so much for speaking to me about your own journey. Thank you for talking to me about so many different aspects of Top Team Accelerator. I learned many new things from you today. Thank you also for speaking to me about your own coaching philosophy. Thank you again.
Thanks. Glad to be here. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website, www.tbcy.in, to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.